Welcome to the Sheffield United Way. My name's Hal, and just going to look back on a game that many of you would probably say you don't necessarily want to relive. I wouldn't want to be the guy responsible for having to actually make the highlights package of Sheffield United's 1-0 win against Huddersfield Town. Not a classic, but of course, I'd be delighted to hear from you in the comments, letting me know what you made of that, because of course, at this stage of the season, kicking off that second half of the season, all that really matters, 3 points and continuing winning ways, picking up where the Blades left off. I liked the look of the lineup, I must admit, beforehand. Anel, Kieran Clark, who I thought was magnificent today, by the way, James McAtee, all in from the off. What a bench as well. Arnold Schwarzenegger hasn't seen a stronger bench. Sander Berger, Ollie McBurney, Lowe, Bogle, woof. Nice reception as well. Iliman Ndiaye introduced as United's World Cup hero ahead of kickoff. Absolutely what you want to hear. So proud of Illy, a case just of getting him back now, back home, giving him that reception that he absolutely deserved for his performances at the World Cup with Senegal. So let's dive straight into the first half. Early on, a cagey affair, and I could say that rather than just the first 10 minutes for the whole game. However, in that opening 10 minutes, we did see Ben Osborne's centre. That was actually on 2 minutes, but it was the first 10 that I'm looking at now. He cut it back to Ndiaye from the left-hand side to the Senegalese front man, and that resulted in a corner after Ndiaye's shot was deflected wide. Aussie looking bright early on. Huddersfield, I thought they were resolute under Mark Fotheringham. Fodfax for you now. His middle name is McKay. He is in his first managerial post. He's a Scot. As a player, he was a midfielder who played for lots of teams. If I listed them all now, it would be longer than this review. Most appearances he made were for Norwich, but he previously played in Cyprus, where I am now. And we were born in the same place as well. Now, that's it for your FOD facts. But the Terriers, I thought they defended pretty well, not only to begin with in those first 10, but kind of throughout the game, apart from that kind of one moment, which we will get to. I'd like you to let me know in the comments as well what you made of the atmosphere at Bramall Lane, a very chilly Bramall Lane for today. Then, on 15 minutes, the first Billy Sharp goal of the season, the captain scoring, and Ndiaye worked his way through the Huddersfield defence in the middle of the park, rode the challenges, passed it, what an assist, into Billy's feet, and he coolly and calmly and delicately chipped the keeper Lee Nichols for 1-0 Blades. Lovely football and a neat finish. There are those that think Billy is finished, and there are those that recognise he can still offer quite a lot to the team. Knows his game so well. Has never been about pace. You know, he's as fit now as he was probably when he was 25. He's possibly fitter now, who knows? But he's clever, holds the ball up well, and that finishing ability doesn't just desert you. It doesn't leave you overnight. I think he'll still be a valuable contributor in the second half of this season. For Huddersfield, their kind of Billy Sharp, talismanic-like player, Danny Ward, always a danger, was offering an outlet on the right for Huddersfield. But for the first half an hour, he had little support in the middle. Huddersfield, of course, 24th in the table, needed to show more intent, not just before the break, but throughout this entire game. In fact, the only time we ever really saw any Huddersfield intent was in the final 5 minutes. But they didn't offer much in the first half. They really offered less threat than Sheffield United in the first half, and I think they offered a lot less than we saw last season. They came to the lane last season and won 2-1 with a last gasp goal, and there were certainly moments at the end of this game when I thought we might see another last gasp goal, but it wasn't to be. Sorba Thomas went down on 39 minutes. He went down like a man embarrassed by his comments about his country of birth during the World Cup. That's how he went down. Anyway, it was a nothing challenge from Stevens, and Huddersfield had their first meaningful, dangerous moment of attack from that free kick. Thomas took it himself, initially cleared, came back to Radoni, and that was caught by Wes, that effort. McAtee, I thought, showed decent skill after he's kind of tricking his way through the defence just after this free kick. But he had to kind of leave that moment because he had it taken off him before he could pull the trigger. And I thought there was a moment there when we could have seen something really special. It ended up being fairly forgettable. But then followed another Thomas dive, which I was informed Carlos Saba described as Tom Daly-esque. And Ndiaye showed similar trickery on the left, like we saw from McAtee, got into the box, could have passed, But I think in this game, kind of just truly showed his talents. Kasumu fell down in installments, won a free kick following that Ndai trickery. Ndai actually did a back heel to Osborne just after that. But the ref was falling for these falling over parades that we saw just again and again and again from Huddersfield. Huddersfield were working the referee as a way of easing the pressure, and it worked for them. No World Cup additional time added on at the end of the first half, just 2 minutes, and it was into the second. And if you'd asked me, what was going to be seen in the second half, I would have said we would see Sheffield United really come out and go for the jugular, having seen very little from an attacking sense with the away side. But the second half, as is tradition, followed the first, and United were shooting towards the Kop, which is what you always want to see. I thought Sheffield United were really good first half, and I'm just going to say I didn't think they were great second half at all. But shooting towards the Kop, what we always choose to, the Kop, I should say, the stay in your allocated or allocated seat Kop. I actually used to stand on the back of the Kop for many years. I made some of my best pals there, and they've remained friends for life. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't want to see any kind of closure there at all. Kasumu was replaced by Hogg for the visitors at the start of this second half. If we get back to just the action for today, Dwayne Holmes, he had a shot on 53. See, that's how long it was. I'm jumping straight to 53 because there's nothing else on my notes. But that tested Wes from the edge of the area. We've had a shot was sung by the town fans behind Wes's goal. This was not a match for the neutral at this stage at all. And it didn't really, it was a slow burner, but it didn't really get going until literally right until the end if you're a Huddersfield Town fan. You'd call it a slow burner. You could maybe use that as a way of describing it. That's probably the same way you would describe a Scandinavian crime drama late night on Channel 4, but that would probably be more interesting. Ender went down on 54, and I was concerned. I thought, here we go. This is the traditional Sheffield United injury. We've just come back. Most players are getting back to fitness. He got back on his feet gingerly. He looked to be struggling. He was grimacing as he moved, but he must have been okay. We may well find out days later. On 65, Dwayne Holmes went off for the away side. I thought he looked one of their most dangerous players, so I was okay with that. Brahima Diarra came on. But the bigger news at that same time, Sander Berge came on for James McAtee. Good to see the Norwegian return. His first appearance in 2 months. He was serenaded by the Blades faithful. Thoughts on McAtee's performance? Let me know in the comments. I can see McAtee having a big second half of the season, the Manchester City loanee. I thought Sander looked strong, looked lively. Couple of misplaced wayward passes, but he's been out. And Ndai had a shot from the right, straight at the keeper on 74. Good work from Starboy. It was United's first shot on target in the second half. Again, very, very forgettable second half from a Blades point of view. McBurney on for Ndai. Amazingly quick recovery from his hernia surgery. Incredible. Good for him. And Kadra replacing Sharp on 80 minutes. Nice play as well from Kadra. As soon as he was brought on, thought he looked lively as well. Worked a shot on goal, some decent skill, but the shot saved. Good play on 83. Berger, Osborne, Anel and Norwood all combining to work it into the box. Norwood winning a corner, which nearly resulted in a goal. The corner came in from the right and Egan headed wide. But I am picking these small moments to give you actually something to talk about in this game. But nicely, the boys coming back to the team. Absolutely, John. These players that have been out and this World Cup break that we've never witnessed before, a 4-week kind of hiatus in the middle of the season, actually working to Sheffield United's benefit because we could get some of these injured key players back. I thought Huddersfield were better in the second half. That wasn't saying much. Their game plan seemed to be a performance to nullify Sheffield United. That worked largely, apart from that sharp goal. Lovely turn on 88 minutes. You can see very few notes from Kadra, finding McBurney in the box, who teed up Sandberger, but the midfielder blazed over from outside the box. Then we saw the 5 minutes come up of added time. Now, Huddersfield hadn't offered much. They appealed for a penalty for handball bang on after we'd seen that 5 minutes. On the 90, it was off Anel's hand, but not in an unnatural position. Yes, they went crazy. The players, yes, the fans behind the goal appealed. The referee ignored the appeals, and quite rightly so. You never know, had VAR been involved, because I just can't decide with VAR, but I would be absolutely amazed if anyone could argue that that should have been given as a penalty, because it absolutely was not. Big Wes, I thought, dealt with every ball pumped into the box and a very nervy finish, a kind of unnecessarily nervy finish as well. You wonder, was this Town going into another gear or Sheffield United sitting back? It's always hard to know, but Town on 94 had a ball into the box, which Wes came out to collect, but it was terrifying. It was a ball played over the top, an inch away from an outstretched Huddersfield leg getting on the end of that, and that could have easily changed the complexion of this game. You know, the Blades, I don't think, were looking like, if Huddersfield had scored in that 5 minutes added on, of going up the end and getting another. Simpson for Huddersfield, I thought he caused problems, and Town really came alive in these final few minutes, but couldn't do enough. And the Blades get it, but it was a narrow win, a nervy win, and it didn't need to be. It was unnecessary at the end. So who was your man of the match in this game, which saw an attendance, a freezing cold attendance of 27,794? I thought there were several contenders. Iliman, Skillyman, looking like Iliman. I thought that we saw some good play from Anel, who didn't quite get the goal that he promised us. If you haven't checked that interview out on this channel yet, please do bookmark it, save it, or listen to it as a podcast. You can get Sheffield United Way podcasts wherever you get your podcasts from. But Kieran Clark, for me, is the man that I am leaning towards as man of the match. And maybe after Kadra's little cameo, it might be time to see a little bit more from him in terms of Heckingbottom considering giving him a start. We shall see. Whenever you're watching this video, please let me know what you thought of it. Don't forget to give it a like. And if you're watching this and you haven't yet subscribed, it's free to do. Please do subscribe to the Sheffield United Way. Thank you very much for watching. We'll speak to you again next time.